was not the trigger man.
There are just too many inconsistencies in the beyond a reasonable doubt decisions that were made in this case. To hand Mr. Davis such a final decision without the case being revisited.
This man says he nearly died before his murder conviction was overturned.
I spent 9 years in the penal system for a crime that I did not commit. Over 4 of those years I was spent on death row waiting to die.
Gervais has not been waiting quietly to die. He's appealed to every court in the land, and in every case, he's been rejected. He's even taken his case to the internet and to the media, as evidenced in this People magazine piece. But Gervais leaves out 3 important facts. He landed on death row for the 1978 murder of 89-year-old Charles Biebel, killed during a burglary. But he was also convicted of killing 83-year-old Esther Seppmeyer and received 2 40-year sentences for the murders of John Ortel and Frank Cash.
There were 3 separate, distinct homicides for which this defendant has been convicted. And that is what makes him death eligible.
The Attorney General's office does have a team ready to handle any last-minute legal developments right up to the very last minute. But as we mentioned, so far all of the appeals have failed. And his last chance now rests with Governor Edgar. And the governor said today that he will announce his decision on that clemency petition sometime tomorrow. This will be a long night for this inmate. Reporting live from Stateville, I'm Lilia Chacon, Fox News, Chicago.
The convict who admitted killing Jeffrey Dahmer and another inmate has dropped his insanity plea. Christopher Scarver withdrew his innocent by reason of insanity claim today, traded it in for a no-contest plea. As part of a plea bargain, Scarver will be transferred to a federal prison where he will serve consecutive life terms for the murders. Authorities say Dahmer's body can now be released for burial. It was being held for possible evidence in Scarver's trial.
Police in both Illinois and Wisconsin are asking for help tonight in identifying a murder victim found over the weekend, just north of the border. They found a woman's body along this stretch of road east of Interstate 94, and tonight they say they have no idea who the women may be.
We're hoping that if this victim is from the Illinois area, that this coverage and whatever we can get will help us out.
They say the victim had been stabbed, beaten, and mutilated. Police issued this death photo to help with an identification. She is white, between 20 and 40 years of age, 5'6", about 140 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. Just 9 days ago, the body of a man was found about 200 yards away. Police do not believe those cases are linked.
A Southside man faces murder charges for the death of his baby son. 15-month-old Antonio Morgan died Saturday after allegedly being punched in the chest because he was crying. The boy's 20-year-old father, Phoenix Morgan, is now charged with 1 count of first-degree murder. Child neglect charges could be filed against a River Grove man whose 2 daughters were home alone when a fire broke out in their apartment. The 2 girls, just 4 and 6 years old, are now in DCFS custody. They were pulled to safety by a neighbor. Their father was allegedly at a local bar. No one was hurt in the fire.
Some students in suburban Arlington Heights are celebrating a victory tonight. The village has backed down after having ordered them to remove a controversial cross display. Juniors and seniors at Christian Liberty Academy voluntarily put up 4,000 crosses, reportedly representing the number of abortions performed in this country every day. Opponents claim the crosses violated village laws against attention-gaining devices, but the kids and their pastor felt it was a First Amendment issue and that their message ought to be heard.
It is definitely killing a child, and we do need to do something about it. And we have to let other people know.
Most of the people that are getting abortions are teenagers. So, I mean, I very well could be. I'm still a virgin, but I could be pregnant, and I could be the one getting an abortion. And I just want to help other teenagers.
City officials reversed their position and apologized. The Academy's Reverend Paul Lindstrom had threatened a lengthy and costly court fight. School officials say the crosses will remain through the rest of this week.
Most agreed to settle out of court. Now they may be out of luck. Women suing the Dow Corning Company over its breast implants are outraged tonight. The manufacturing giant has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. This after agreeing to pay billions to women injured by the implants. As Mark Saxemeyer reports, those women now claim insult as well.
I said, those dogs, they're trying to get out of it.
Rita Rose is furious. She's one of the 8 original women who first filed suit against Dow in Illinois.
They're looking at the profit margin. And they're saying, if we can go into bankruptcy or reorganizational, to hell with everybody else.
Rose is a recovering breast cancer patient. She's also recovering from her silicone implant, an implant she was forced to remove, she says, after the chemical began to seep into her body and cause unbearable pain.
And I don't get angry, I get even.
Rose was all for the settlement agreement reached with Dow, but thousands of other women were not, and they filed additional lawsuits. Now Dow says it just doesn't have the money to pay.
When we announced the global settlement where Dow Corning would commit over $2 billion over the next 30 years to help the women who have our implants, we said then that that was all we could afford, and we hoped that all women would join in the settlement. But unfortunately, this small group has not, but their demands have been far exceeding our ability to pay.
It's not good news. It's going to mean that women who want to get paid as soon as possible so that they can have their implants removed, so that they can have medical monitoring of their health, are going to have to wait longer if they can't afford to do that on their own.
As for Rita Rose, she says she has no choice but to impatiently wait for justice.
I've gone through enough hell. I just want now to get my money back.
Mark Saxenmeyer, Fox News, Chicago.
Of the 400,000 women who sued Dow in the worldwide lawsuit, an estimated 5,000 live in the Chicago area.
Africa's deadly Ebola virus may have spread now to the capital of Zaire. Health officials report 2 unconfirmed cases of Ebola in Kinshasa. Until today, all the Ebola cases have been reported in or near Kikwit, a city 370 miles to the east. That's where the outbreak began in March. Since then, 77 people have died, including a 4th Italian nun who was caring for patients at the Kikwit Hospital.
Up next, a special investigative report, victims of valet vandals.
You may be taking a chance when you leave your car for a night on the town. A Fox News undercover investigation will take you on a ride you will not forget.
Also, an Illinois university is making sure there are no more rowdy tricks on Halloween.
I'm Mike Chilinas. An absolutely gorgeous day's worth of weather, temperatures in the mid-70s and plenty of sunshine. The question, though, is what will tomorrow look like? The answer, straight ahead.
We need a young female operative. The rules of the assassin are simple. I want immediate improvement or she gets a bullet in the brain. No questions.
You like living with the ghost.
In a minute.
No hesitation.
There are 3 people sitting behind you. I want you to put 2 bullets in the VIP.
And no turning back.
That was my last job. I'm through. I'm out.
Bridget Fonda.
There is no out.
Point of no return.
Tuesday at 7 on Fox 32.
If it's got Sony on it, it's high performance. If it's got Sony on it, it's a sleek design. If it's got Sony on it, it's at Best Buy. So, getting the Sony you want is more affordable than you might think. Especially with no payments for 6 months on everything at Best Buy. Because after all, everything's a little better if it's got Sony on it.
Coming up on Fox News, he's mean, so's he. He's evil, so's he. But he's in the opening credits. Meet Melrose Place's Thomas Calabro. Stay tuned.
Around here, homes have to stand up to some harsh weather. That's why there's Cuprinol siding stain. It's a wood preservative. Thompson's and Olympics house stains are not. Wood preservatives make the difference. Compare labels and see. Cuprinol siding stain penetrates deep into wood to fight rot, mildew, and decay. Repels water, too. When it's wood against weather, trust Cuprinol.
It's a big world out there. Big sky, big clouds, big rocks, and big feet. The Chevy S-Series extended cab with a big interior, AM/FM stereo, and driver's side airbag. There's only one thing small about it.
Most of us probably do it without a second thought. We may even plan it, turning our cars over to strangers, valet drivers, so we can get to that popular restaurant or nightclub on time.
For the last month, our investigative reporter, Larry Yellen, has been looking at those valet drivers and joins us now with a story.
Walter, our investigation of valets has uncovered examples of theft, dangerous driving, and lots of illegal parking. All of these offenses committed by drivers who we call the valet vandals.
Baby, you can drive my car.
They do the parking while we do the eating and drinking.
Beep, 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 yeah.
But sometimes, after valets have got the keys to your car, they do more than just park your car.
My sunglasses were missing, my radar detector was missing, and my change was missing.
My rims on the passenger side, the front and the rear, were all grind up.
My wife and I were crossing the street as 4 cars came out, and they almost ran us over.
For the last month, we followed hundreds of cars as they were valeted at some of Chicago's finest restaurants. Our undercover cameras caught drivers stealing cash, a car being driven for more than 5 miles before it was parked, and widespread illegal parking of cars in tow zones, handicap lanes, and other no parking areas. We also saw valets driving at high speeds, sometimes backwards, as they rushed cars to and from restaurants. And driving like that can sometimes have tragic results.
A valet parking service driver took control of a BMW, got in the car, lost control of the car.
Don Shapiro represents Siraj Ganawala, a Chicago taxi driver who was standing near the Shelter nightclub when a valet driver jumped the curb and hit 3 pedestrians, including Ganawala.
He suffered severe shoulder injury. His arm was fractured, it was dislocated. He suffered permanent nerve and muscle damage.
Lawyers for valet parking services acknowledge the accident took place, but are questioning the reported injuries. They won't discuss the whereabouts of the valet driver. Shapiro says he's disappeared.
As far as we know, the valet driver has moved back to somewhere in Mexico, and he's really beyond the judicial process in the United States.
Valet companies tell us that they routinely do background checks into all new drivers, making sure they've got clean driving histories and valid driver's licenses. But our own undercover background checks into some of those drivers reveals they feel they've got another type of license, a license to steal. A busy night at the trendy Adagio restaurant on Chicago's near North Side. 2 Fox News producers leave a stash of bills and change in the front seat, then valet the car. As the driver drives away, our hidden camera catches him stealing $8. A block away, the popular Bub City restaurant. Again, we valet the car. Again, the valet driver goes through our cash, taking only $1 in this case.
We are the largest and most organized parking company in the United States of America.
The 2 drivers who stole money were both employed by Valet Parking Services, the largest valet firm in Chicago. Company officials viewed our videotape, told us one of the drivers had already been fired for speeding, and the other would be fired for theft.
Valet Parking Service, Inc.'s policy is to immediately take disciplinary action up to and including termination.
The theft we recorded at Adagio took place on April 20th. It apparently was part of a pattern. On May 1st, Valet Parking Services itself was terminated at the restaurant, in part because of continuing thefts.
Missing personal items, stolen telephones, a spare tire off a car, a misplaced car.
Valet Parking Services says many of those thefts were due to one employee. The company says it did quality work for Adagio. Altogether, we had 3 thefts among the dozen restaurants we tested. The third was at the Blue Mesa restaurant on Halsted, where the driver, working for Michigan Avenue Valet Services, pocketed $1. When you do pull up to a restaurant as a customer, you're essentially giving your car to a virtual stranger, aren't you?
Absolutely. When you pull up to the valet company, you don't know who you're giving that car to. We never know who we're really going to hire other than the gentleman who is qualified to drive, speaks a little English, and is willing to work for our company.
Beep, 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 yeah.
Rick Valera said he's constantly amazed at the valuables that people do leave in their cars. We did find some nice examples of honesty among the valets we checked. At Ed DeBevic's restaurant, for example, the valet started to park our car. Then he came running after us with our cash, saying we had left it behind, and he didn't want it to get stolen. Tomorrow night, we'll show you how valet drivers don't always park your car right after you've given it to them. Walter and Robin?
That's depressing. You know, especially, I think people who have the nicer cars are more likely to valet park because they don't want to risk parking on the street or something.
Right.
Which they may end up
and
anyway.
And they might leave some very nice valuables in those cars.
Who thinks about it?
It's an argument for driving an inexpensive car, right?
We know that you believe in that, Walter.
Coming up in a minute, it's going to get warmer, but will we pay a price? Mike Chalinas is next with his forecast.
And she was supposed to be spreading goodwill, but actress Julia Roberts was anything but a pretty woman on a mission for charity. We'll explain.
He's the guy you love to hate, the double-dealing, womanizing Dr. Michael Manzini of Melrose Place. Coming up, hear how the actor Thomas Calabro likes playing the bad guy.
And President Clinton takes some shots at the National Rifle Association.
Just a few days ago.
It was great to be